One of the worst things that can happen when you're using Git is when you're merging a branch and suddenly that merge conflict message appears on the screen. How do you resolve the conflict without messing everything up? And why is this even happening in the first place? Well, a merge conflict happens when you have two separate branches, and each branch has a different version of the same file, with different lines of code in the same location. When you merge the branch, Git doesn't know which one is the right version, so it stops everything and alerts you that there is a code conflict that you need to resolve. So let's go through the steps to resolve the conflict and successfully complete your merge. All right, so I have VS Code open. I have some pre-existing code that I'm going to show you. At the bottom here in the terminal panel, I have Git Bash open. So if I list the directory, the only file we have is this code.txt file, which we have open up here at the top. Let's also check out git log, one line graph branches. And you can see that we have the main branch where we created the code.txt file, although it is empty. Then we have two other branches. We have a numbers branch where I added numbers, and then a letters branch where I added letters, hopefully to make things as clear as possible. So let's see what's on each of those branches. So if I switch to, let's do letters first. If I switch to the letters branch, the code.txt file has letters in the first three lines of the file. If I switch to numbers, we have numbers 1, 2, and 3 on those first three lines. And then let's go back to main where it is blank. So now let's see what's going to happen when we merge both the letters and numbers branches into the main branch. So I'm going to first merge in the numbers branch. And you can see here we were successfully able to merge. And now on the main branch, we have the numbers on main. So next, let's merge the letters branch into main. So here we see the dreaded merge conflict message, and we do need to fix this conflict. So the reason why this merge conflict is happening, if I show you here, is we have a diverging history with two different versions of the code.txt file and two different versions of the first three lines. And you can see that Git has put both versions of those three lines, one after the other, in the actual code.txt file. Now, the way that you know that it's a merge conflict is that in the file, you can see that we have these left angle bracket symbols and head, which indicates our current location. In our case, we are currently on the main branch. So on the main branch, we have the numbers 1, 2, and 3, again from the numbers branch that we merged into main. Then below that, we have a row of equal signs. And then below that, this is the other version of the diverging history. So here we have the letters A, B, and C. And then at the bottom, it tells you where they came from. It comes from the incoming branch that we're trying to merge, which is the letters branch. Now there's also some indicators from VS Code. These are kind of tools that VS Code has to help you merge. So at the top, the head, it says current change. And then at the bottom, it says letters incoming change. And these are not part of the actual code file, the current change and incoming change. And also at the top, these links here are not in the actual code. These are, again, the VS Code tools. But the angle brackets and head, equal sign, angle brackets, and letters, those are in the actual code file. So we don't want those to be in the final merged version of this file. All right, so what can we do to resolve this merge conflict? Well, there's a couple options you have. One thing you can do is to abort the merge. So if you don't have the time or you just don't want to try to resolve this right now, you can exit out of this whole thing and go back to the way things were before we tried merging that letters branch in. You can do this in Git Bash with the command git merge -- abort. So that's one command you can run. I'm not going to run this right now because I'm going to show you another option. In VS Code, you can open the command palette with Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P on Macs, and then look for git abort merge, which is this command here. And this will do the same thing as writing the command in Git Bash. So let's run this. And now the code.txt file has gone back to the way it was before with just the numbers. And if I run git status, we are no longer merging. As you can see, we've gone back to just with whatever we had on the main branch. All right, so let's get back into the merge conflict by merging letters. All right, so we have multiple options up here in the VS Code interface. I'm going to show you each option and then undo to show you the next one. The first option, accept current change, it considers where we currently are, meaning the main branch, as the correct version. So if I click accept current change, it's going to keep what we had on main and then get rid of what we had incoming from the letters branch, as well as remove the merge conflict markers so that we could now feasibly save and then commit to save the merge. So I'm going to undo. Now let's check out the second option, accept incoming change. This is the reverse. So this assumes that what is incoming from the letters branch is the correct version. So if I click accept incoming change, it's going to remove the numbers and then keep the letters, as well as remove the conflict markers. So that's the other option. Then we have accept both changes. So if we do this, we're going to have both versions, and then we can, further manually edit this to make whatever changes we think we want the final version to be like. I'm just making some arbitrary changes here. Then whatever version you use to resolve, the next thing you want to do is we want to save this file. So we've saved, and then we need to make another commit to commit the recorded change resolving the merge. So to do this, we want to git add. Then we will make a commit, so git commit. And I'm going to just press enter here so you can see the default commit message. So this is telling us merge branch letters, and then in the comments it has some additional information about the merge conflict. So we're going to keep the default message here. I'll close out of here. So now we have made, I'll just put the panel up again. We've made a new commit merging the branch letters. So again, when you are resolving your merge, just make sure you get rid of all the conflict markers, meaning the angle brackets and equal signs, before you save, because it is actually going to be in your code. So you definitely don't want those to show up there. So now that we have merged and resolved the conflict, let's check out the log again. So now we can see we have the original commit where we created the file. Then we can see that the history branches off into the numbers and then the letters branch. And then we have our new commit that we just made, merging the letters branch into what we had on main. So how do you avoid merge conflicts altogether? Well, unfortunately, it's impossible to completely avoid them. This is just a fact of life when you're working with multiple developers and multiple branches. But one thing you can do to make them not as bad is, let's say you're working on a feature branch and you're working on it for a while, try to periodically merge the main branch into your feature branch, because this way you will see merge conflicts most likely, but at least they'll be smaller over time, instead of if you just work on your feature branch till you're completely done and then try to merge that into main, you're going to see all the merge conflicts all at once, and it's going to be a lot more difficult, I think, to resolve that. So it's better to kind of spread the pain out over time while you're working on your feature. So that's pretty much it for resolving merge conflicts. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, leave a comment down below. And if you want to learn more Git, I do have a full tutorial on Git and GitHub, which I have linked somewhere up here and also down below as well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.